Hey, did you know that most CEOs read more than 60 books per year? Well, that's why today I'm going to show you what it was like reading like Warren Buffett for 5 entire days. It was truly a life-changing experience, but there were a few downsides that I wasn't expecting. Now watch this entire video to see if reading like Warren Buffett is worth it. So usually I'm geeking out about SEO and marketing, but today I'm going to give you guys something completely different. So in 5 days, I ended up reading 5 books, 30 articles, and taking 23 pages of notes because I wanted to see what it was like to actually read like Warren Buffett. And what I discovered will change the way I operate forever. But before I jump into it, I need to cover 2 things. Number 1, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe because I publish new content like this every week. And number 2, I'm going to give you something incredible when you watch all the way until the end. And I'll explain what it is soon, but it's 100% free. So if you don't know who Warren Buffett is, he's often referred to as the Oracle of Omaha because of his impressive investing track record. In fact, from 1965 to 2017, Buffett's company Berkshire Hathaway has generated a 20% annual return compared to the S&P 500's 9.9% return. So beating the market is the holy grail of investing because it's nearly impossible to do over the long term. Not only that, Buffett is also worth $82 billion, which makes him the 3rd richest person in the world as of 2019. But this video isn't about investing or business. It's about one of Warren Buffett's daily habits. Buffett has said on several occasions that he spends 80% of his working hours reading and thinking. So that's exactly what I decided to do for 5 days. I read for 6 hours every single day to see how it would impact my mind, productivity, and business. Now you probably have one big question. Why am I even doing this? Well, here's why. I wanted to take reading to the extreme, and I wanted to see what it was like to read like Warren Buffett. For example, is it beneficial to read 80% of your day, or are there diminishing returns? Well, here are the things I learned reading like Warren Buffett for an entire week. So number 1, intentional reading isn't fast. So there are many people out there that say they read a book a day, and there's a lot of people pushing that particular agenda. But the truth is, it's super hard to read an entire book in a day and get everything you can out of it. So the goal of reading shouldn't be to see how many you can finish. The goal of reading should be to understand and truly be able to take information out of that book and be able to implement that information into your life. And so the only way to do that is to use intentional reading. And so what do I mean by intentional reading? You need to be highlighting. You need to be writing notes in the margins. You need to be using tabs. And most importantly, what I do that's probably a little extreme is I will take my highlights and I'll actually transcribe those onto a note in Google Drive, and I just want to have documentation of all these things. And that process of reading, highlighting, and then actually taking your notes and writing them out, it starts to leave a footprint in your mind. You really start to retain that information. So that's the first thing I learned, is that intentional reading is definitely not fast, but it's a necessary piece of the puzzle. So number 2, books are better than articles. And the reason for that is because books are the product of a ton of work, a ton of research, a ton of editing and revising. And there's just so much work that goes into actually developing a book and getting it published. And so you can see the stark difference between a book and just an article you'll find on a blog, even my own blog, because the amount of editorial guidelines that go into a book are so extreme. And when you compare that to an article where anyone can just write an article and they don't even have to edit it or anything and they can publish it, there's going to be a substantial difference. So if you're really trying to learn a particular topic, books are always going to dominate articles, except for one exception. And that's if you're in an industry where it's moving fast and it changes quickly, like SEO, it does help to get access to articles where people are constantly publishing new information about what's going on in that particular industry. But to really get the fundamentals of marketing or business or anything else, books are going to be the way to go. So then the third thing I learned was that tasks take much longer than I estimate. So because I had to read for 6 hours, I only had 2 hours to complete my work. And I have a massive amount of work that I have to get done on a weekly basis. So what I had to do is I had to figure out, okay, what are the most important tasks to focus on since I only have 2 hours? And that's exactly what I did. And oftentimes I would schedule more stuff than I had enough time to do. And it was a good lesson to realize that you should give yourself a nice buffer when you schedule out your tasks, because in most cases, your tasks are going to take longer than you think. So number 4 was the biggest realization I had in this entire process. And it's that the more you read, the more time you save because you make less mistakes. And you'll also get results faster because you bypass the mistakes and you piggyback off of other people's knowledge and experience. Now, this is by far the biggest point. So I hope you take this away, that reading helps you avoid mistakes. And that is so critical, because if you can avoid mistakes, you're going to save time and you're going to be able to get results faster and more efficiently. And that's so critical, because it's easy to fall into this trap to think that, well, I should be taking action right now. I should be doing work. And the problem with that is, if you just constantly work, you constantly take action, is you never get a chance to actually step back and look on the outside of what you're doing and reflect on what you're doing. And most importantly, when you pick up a book, if you pick up a book like this, you're picking up someone's years and years and years of knowledge, and you're basically putting that into your mind. And there is no other way that you'd be able to get that experience without reading a book. And if you did, you'd have to spend years and years and years in that particular field to make enough mistakes and to get enough experience to be able to figure it out. And that is there's just not enough time in this life to be able to do that. So books help you accelerate your knowledge, accelerate your skills. And so I cannot stress this enough, that it actually saves you time when you read. And it doesn't feel that way when you're reading. You're like, man, I'm just reading here. But in reality, when you actually think about it, it is actually saving you time in the long run. Now, number 5, which goes along with the previous point, is I had a burning desire to work and act on what I was learning. And so that was by far the hardest part, because I was learning so much and I was learning so many new things that I just wanted to take it and immediately go act on it. But I simply just didn't have enough time in the day to be able to do that. So obviously it's not super practical for me to be reading 6 hours a day, because I just wouldn't be able to get probably enough done in only 2 hours. But it was a really good lesson to focus on the tasks that are going to have the highest impact on your life and in your business. So number 6 is, I think that we should all make time for guilt-free reading. So this was also another huge revelation that I had during this process, is that I realized that at the end of every quarter, I'm either going to take a trip or I'm going to do a reading vacation, or both, since I usually read when I travel. So the purpose of doing this is designed to recharge your batteries, because if you just constantly work and you never take a break, you are going to get diminishing returns on your work. And so you need time to step away, start to process everything that you've done, and most importantly, start picking up a book and injecting new knowledge into your mind, so that you can take all that newfound knowledge and go hard on your business as soon as you come back. But everyone needs to take some time off from work. And I'm really talking to people who are aggressive action takers. If you're someone who never takes action, then obviously this is really stupid advice. But if you're someone who's constantly working on your business, and you have an entrepreneur mindset, then you need to schedule time off to recharge your batteries. And one thing that I'm going to start doing is taking reading vacations. And I know that Bill Gates does that. And I think there's a ton of value in that. And I've really started to realize how huge it is after this whole experiment. So the last big takeaway is that information overload is real. And on the last day of this experiment, I had the hardest time reading. I had the hardest time retaining information, and I had super low energy. And I knew that was about the end of this experiment for me. And so what I realized is that I was probably overtraining my mind. So it became very difficult for me to retain information. And so that was an important lesson, because it shows that you can actually overtrain. Just like how you can overtrain a muscle, you can overtrain your mind. So you don't want to go too crazy and try to dump so much information into your mind, because then you're not going to actually be able to retain it. You're not going to be able to actually use it in the real world. So as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I read 5 books, 30 articles, and took 23 pages of notes. Now, there's no way I could share everything I learned in this video. However, I'm going to do 2 things. So number 1, I'm going to share some stuff that I believe can have a huge impact on your life and can truly change the way that you operate. And then number 2, I'm going to share my 23 pages of notes 100% free, and I'll have a link in my bio so you can download them. So here are the top things I learned while reading like Warren Buffett. So the first thing I learned is that there really are only a few core skills that you need to master if you want to have a successful career, and those are productivity, writing, psychology, persuasion, and personal finance. So if you can master those skills and develop those skills, your life is going to be substantially better, because it really affects all aspects of your life. So next thing I learned is to eat more organic whole foods. And you've heard this a million times. You need to eat healthy. You need to eat natural foods. I'm not going to get into that, but that was one thing I learned from a very long article about nutrition. And if I were to sum up this enormous article It's that you should be eating more organic whole foods and eating less processed foods. And you'll generally be healthier and you'll probably lose weight and be able to put on muscle easier. So the third thing I learned is to read more books. I didn't actually learn this, but it was a good reminder that you should be reading more books. And that's what this video is all about. So I hope that after this video, you start reading more books because it truly can change your life for the better. And I also learned what
TRISKAIDEKAPHOBIA
means, which is the fear of the number 13. Now, I was really in a rabbit hole at this point. I was reading some pretty strange stuff, but that is a word I've never seen before, but now you know. So there are people who are afraid of the number 13. It is a real thing, so you just really need to retain them because that's going to really be a life-changing fact there.
You know, Lois, this movie has helped me understand a lot of things. Like that foreign guy at work who helped me understand sarcasm.
Nice day we're having.
Oh, yes!
What?
He said nice day, but he covered with rain.
So?
So he said this when your brain know it's not really nice day.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yes, he said the opposite. It's funny.
Yeah, I get it. Nice day.
Oh, now you're funny too. Oh.
But I just thought it was a super fun thing, and that was really a bizarre thing that I discovered. So next thing I learned is something you've probably heard 5 billion times, but you need to exercise more. And so for me, I was working out about 3 days a week until I got my Apple Watch. And I will tell you that getting this Apple Watch was one of the best decisions I've ever made because now I've exercised 30 days in a row since getting it. And the reason why it's so effective is because it's just accountability. You need a way to be accountable. And so for me personally, this has led to so much accountability. And so every day when I see those rings aren't closed, I know, okay, I need to go home. Even if it's 11 o'clock at night, I need to close these rings. I need to do my exercise. So it really is a great accountability mechanism. So if you're looking for a way to get more accountability and you're looking for a way to exercise more, then definitely consider getting an Apple Watch. So those are a couple of things I learned during this experiment. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to my channel. And now I have one question for you. Do you think reading like Warren Buffett is a good use of time? Leave your answer in the comment section. And don't forget, you can get access to 23 pages of notes 100% free. Just click the link in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.